Hello friends, I am Dr. Ashok Kumar Madhav here again. In this session, we will be identifying the structure of agribusiness. The objectives of this session is, in the end of this session, you should be able to, number one, frame the structure of agribusiness. Next, examine the role of input sector, farm production sector and product sector. Next, outline key trends from the Indian Agri-Business Report 2012. Identify the nature of successful agribusiness. Dear friends, in the previous session, we have gone through some of the basic aspects of agribusiness. In this session, I will be introducing you the structure of agribusiness sector. As an introductory note, let us start. Now, I will ask you a simple question. Have you seen the family structure wherein higher person in the family delegates order and other person obey to his orders? Or ever heard of structures in agribusiness? No. Let's know about this in session. In determining the best structure for a specific business, management must evaluate their goals and objectives for the business. What is the fundamental reason for the business? It is the return on investment, or is it to supply a missing service? The business structure can enhance the company's potential for success in the way that people perceive, trust and work with the business. It answers the questions as to whether the owners are principally interested in growth, returns, control or other issues. Agribusiness has a vertical structure. This is composed of input suppliers, farmers, processors, transport operators, financiers, wholesalers, retailers and consumers. These components participate in the movement of the commodity from the producer down to the final consumer. Some prominent features can be identified that are: the agribusiness concept is market oriented. Components must lead to satisfy consumers' needs. It is important that there should be a continuous communication between and among the key players in order to inform what is happening within the system. Interactions and movements play an important part in the system. It provides the direction and willingness of the people to be involved in. This enables people to engage in social exchanges and thus relationships are established. Agribusiness represents approximately 1% of the total world economic production and provides employment to 1/10 of the earth's population. Agribusiness can either be a sector open system or an interdependent subsystem. Let's know about significance of each one of them. Agribusinesses scope is around the farm. Without farms, agribusiness would not have something to process, distribute or to provide inputs. Advances in technology and developments in markets have made the functions of the different players in agribusiness to become more specialized and their organizational structures more complicated. Previously, the scope of agribusiness included the whole of agriculture sector and that portion of the industrial sector which contains the sources of farm supplies or the processors of farm products. Due to various developments, the scope of agribusiness was widened. Presently, the scope includes: number one, the whole agricultural sector including forestry and fishery. Number two, portion of the industrial sector consisting of manufacturers or suppliers of inputs, that is for the farm processing plants, marketing firms and the processors of farm products. Number three, portion of the commercial services sector which provides transport or distribution, financing and other services. Now, let's move to agribusiness. Prominence as an open system. Agribusiness can be related to a set or assemblage of things connected or interdependent so as to form a complex unit. A whole composed of parts in orderly arrangement according to some scheme or plan. This is termed as an open system. Hodges and Cato, 1988, described the system in terms of the following concept. A system is more than the sum of its parts. It has to be viewed as a whole. Systems can either be open or closed. When the system has no interactions with its environment, it is closed. When the system receives information, energy or material from outside environment in order to function more effectively, it is open. Now, when we look at it, in order for a system to exist, it must have boundaries that separate it from the outside environment. Open systems are able to overcome the effects of entropy because they are influenced by the external environment. In responding to the external environment, the organization must contend with two kinds of forces. One force encourages the organization to continue doing what it is doing and not to take in new information or material from the outside world. The other kind of force encourages the organization to change. Effective organization strives to balance the two in order to make the necessary changes without creating chaos or uncertainty by changing too rapidly. By using feedback from the external environment, a system is able to achieve dynamic equilibrium. Equilibrium occurs when the organization achieves a steady state and is not in danger of breaking down. Every system is also a subsystem. An organization is a subsystem of the entire industry. Agribusiness is an open system because of the reasons such as it is composed of distinct but interdependent parts that function towards a common goal. It is affected by the developments in its external environment. Viability of the whole agribusiness systems depends on the vitality of each subsystem, the synchronized operation of the subsystems, and its ability to adapt to the changes in the environment. But how is agribusiness related in terms of interdependent subsystems? Let's discuss about it now. To start with, let us identify the various subsystems of agribusiness and then point at the interdependence between them. The various subsystems in agribusiness are input subsystem, farm production subsystem, processing subsystem, marketing subsystem, support subsystem. Let's know about each of them in little detail. Input subsystem is composed of firms that provide the farm production sector with seeds, feeds, fertilizers, machinery, chemicals and other inputs needed for operation. It also includes human and animal resources. Now, in farm production subsystem, it consists of all individuals and enterprises engaged in the production and propagation of animals and animal products, plant products, forests and forest products, and even aquatic products for direct consumption and or as intermediate products for processing. Processing subsystem covers all firms engaged in the primary and final transformation of the raw materials output. Considering the perishable nature of agriculture products, the role of storage and processing in agribusiness could not be overemphasized. Marketing subsystem is composed of all individuals and firms involved in the distribution of agro-based products. Marketers usually have direct links with the end consumers. The agribusiness system, through provision of services, logistics and coordination of services from technology, information, programs and incentives to the system. So, why is the study of agribusiness so important? This relevant question is answered now. Let's know about its significance now. Some prominent points that suggest the importance of agribusiness study are here as follows. Agribusiness is anchored on management, whether it is viewed as an art or science. Management is an integrative field of study that draws concepts on the human sciences or disciplines like economics, psychology, sociology, statistics, mathematics, political science and engineering among others. Agribusiness management also integrates the relevant aspects of agricultural disciplines such as horticulture, agronomy, animal sciences, plant protection, aquaculture and forest science. It is a basic concept in business which simply means the act of getting people together to accomplish desired goals and objectives. Now, we will go to the role of agribusiness. So, what is the role of agribusiness in an economy? What its significance? This is because of the following. Agribusiness includes all those business and management activities performed by firms that provide inputs to the farm sector, produce farm products and or process, transport, finance, handle or market farm products. In 1974 survey of agribusiness related occupations, the USDA defined very specifically what types of employment agribusiness encompass. The following is the breakdown of the types of activities that were then considered to be used in agribusiness. What are those? Agriculture production and propagation of animals, animal products, plants, plant products, forests and forest products. The providing of services associated with agricultural production and the manufacture and distribution of supplies used in agricultural production. Next, the design, installation, repair, operation and servicing of machinery, equipment and power sources and the construction of structures used in agricultural production. Next, any activities related to the inspection, processing and marketing of agricultural products and primarily by products. Next, any aspects of greenhouse, nursery, landscaping and other ornamental horticultural operations. And further, the conservation, propagation, improvement and utilization of renewable natural resources. Next, the multiple uses of forest lands and resources. The current definition of agribusiness involves a broader view that encompasses the total food production and distribution system. This includes three major sectors: input sector, farm production sector and product sector. Let us know about each one of them in detail. Beginning with input sector, it involves farm service and supplies. It is a supplier of inputs for farm products. It includes feed, seed, fertilizers, chemicals, petroleum products, farm machinery and equipment, livestock, feeder stock, financing, consulting, services, water and other input service supplies for production of goods and services in the agricultural industries. This is the hub of agribusiness which connects the input and product sectors. It includes all agricultural business and individuals that handle the agricultural products from the farm to the final consumer. The health of the farm production sector has a vital and direct impact on the financial well-being of both the input and output sectors of agribusiness. This includes agribusinesses involved in the buying, transporting, storing, warehousing, grading, processing, assembling, packing, selling, merchandising, insuring, regulating, inspecting, communicating, advertising and financing. This is the largest of the three sectors. The product sector transforms the raw farm output into a final consumer product at the retail level. Some examples of businesses in the product sector are food processors, meat packers, bottlers, canners, packing houses, wineries, brewers, transportation companies, that is truck, rail, road, air, brokers, wholesalers, retailers, advertisers and merchandisers among others. There are so many others also there. Therefore, agribusiness is a sum total of all the operations or activities involved in the business of production and marketing of farm supplies and farm products for achieving the targeted objectives. Now, Indian Agriculture Business Report 2012, that is Q2 2012 report, what it says. According to BMI View, a relatively plentiful monsoon in 2012 allowed key crops like rice, wheat and sugar to see either continued growth or strong rebounds in 2012-2013. However, this has not seen food price inflation abate as much as we would have liked, as the heavy rains also hindered transportation of the foodstuff to markets, supporting already high prices when there was inflation as such. Potential for prices of agriculture commodities to head higher and thus feed into food prices. However, we believe that the effects of abundant supply in 2012-13 for many key crops such as sugar and rice should eventually weigh down on prices and hence inflation. Further, in the longer term, although the government has laid down plans to improve efficiencies in the agriculture sector, we are not confident that these efforts will translate into significant gains in production across the board, given the unconsolidated nature of the industry and also poor infrastructure. For example, we see the country becoming a net importer of poultry by 2014-15. Now, some of the key trends that we can notice are: number one, sugar production grows to 2014-15, that is 105.9% to 36.7 million tons. This increase will be boosted by an increase in consumption of soft drinks and confectionery items, which will be dependent on the expansion of incomes and wages. Now we come to the field of poultry consumption. The poultry consumption growth to 2014-15, that is 30% to 34.4 million tons. With the growing middle class and rising incomes, we expect demand growth for poultry meat to outperform over our forecast period. Given the rapid expansion in demand for the meat, India will become a net importer of the poultry by 2014-15. Now in the field of corn consumption growth to 2015, especially 30% to 22.4 million tons. Consumption growth will be driven by increasing demand for feed from the livestock sector, as rising incomes allow Indian consumers to eat more meat, especially poultry, but also buffalo meat, for which consumption is also increasing. Further, in case of industrial developments, after being delayed numerous times, the government finally lifted its ban on sugar exports in mid-November 2010. They said the officially allowed figure of 5 lakh tons have so far underwhelmed expectations of as much as 3.5 million tons of sugar exports in 2011. Given the bumper sugar crop, BMI is confident, however, that the government will rise the current 5 lakh tons export quota in the near future. Our view is boosted by certain measures recently imposed on the industry, such as the restart of sugar futures trading on Indian domestic commodity. Exchanges after 19-month freeze, as well as the reinstatement of a 60% import tax on sugar. India's dairy market in value terms, including the organized and unorganized sector, is estimated at US $47.6 billion and has been growing at nearly 7.5% annually. Presently, the country is still able to largely meet its domestic demand, is only marginally dependent on dairy imports. However, given the strong rate of consumption growth which has been led in part by rising incomes, demand will soon outstrip supply, very likely causing India to become more dependent on imports. Already, we forecast the butter production balance to run into deficit in 2012-2013. India's premium Basmati rice exports have been facing mounting difficulties in traditionally strong export markets in the Middle East. Iran's Trade Promotion Organization recently withdrew licenses for rice imports with the intention of improving domestic rice quality and taming rising consumer prices. Saudi Arabia has also removed price import subsidies in the hopes of reducing reliance on rice imports from India, which currently supplies more than 70% of the country's market. Given that 60% of Indian basmati rice is shipped to these two countries, we are concerned that unless these measures are temporary, India might lose its significant market share in these major rice export partners in the long run. Now we will go to the nature of successful agribusiness. Today, the agribusiness has become very competitive and complex. This is mainly due to changing taste and fashion of the consumers on the one hand and introduction of substitute and cheaper and better competitive goods on the other. The old dictum produce and sell has changed over time into produce only what customers want. In fact, knowing what customers want is never simple. Nevertheless, a farmer, operator or farmer manager has to give proper thought to this consideration in order to make his business a successful one. The important requisites for success in a modern business are, now let us list out: clear objectives, proper planning, sound organization, proper research, efficient planning of finance, proper plant location layout and efficient management, harmonious relations with the workers. Determination of objectives is one of the most essential or requisite for the success of business. The objectives set forth should be realistic and clearly defined. Then all the business efforts should be geared to achieve the set objectives. Number 2, in a way, objectives are destination points for an agribusiness, as a traveler must know here he or she has to reach, that is destination. Similarly, business also must know what objectives. In simple words, planning is predetermined line of action. The accomplishment of objectives set to a great extent depends upon planning itself. It is said that it does not take time to do things, but it takes time to decide what and how to do. Planning is a proposal based on past experience and present trends for future actions. In other words, it is an analysis of a problem and finding out the solutions to solve them with reference to the objective of the firm. An organization is the art or science of building a systematical whole by a number of what related parts. Just as human frame is built up by various parts like heart, liver, brain, legs, etc. Similarly, organization for business is a harmonious combination of men, machine, material, money, management, etc. so that all this could work jointly as one unit, that is business, the agri-business. Organization is thus such a systematic combination of various related parts for achieving a defined objective in an effective manner. As indicated earlier, today the agriculture production philosophy produce what the consumer want. Consumers' behavior is influenced by a variety of factors like cultural, social, personal and psychological factors. The business needs to know and appreciate these factors and then function accordingly. The knowledge of these factors are acquired through market research. Research is a systematic search for new knowledge. Market research enables a business in finding out new methods of production, improving the quality of product and developing new products as per the changing tastes and wants of the consumers. Finance is said to be the lifeblood of business enterprise. It brings together the land, labor, machine and raw materials into production. 10th one, agribusiness should estimate its financial requirements adequately so that it may keep the business wheel on moving. Therefore, proper arrangement should be made for securing the required finance for the enterprise. The success of agribusiness depends to a great extent on the location. Location of the business should be convenient from various points of view, such as availability of required infrastructure facilities, availability of inputs like raw materials, skilled labor, near to the market, etc. Hence, the businessman must take sufficient care in the initial stages to select suitable location for this business. The requirement for raw materials, for example, will be less in smaller firm than a larger firm. One of the reasons for failure of business often attributed to as their poor management or inefficient management. The one man, that is, the proprietor, may not be equally good in all areas of the business. Efficient businessman can make proper use of available resources for achieving the objectives set for the business. In agribusiness organization, the farmer operator occupies a distinct place because he or she is the main living factor among all factors of production. In fact, it is the human factor who makes the use of other non-human factors like land, machine, money, etc. Therefore, for successful operation of business, there should be cordial and harmonious relations maintained with the workers or laborers to get their full cooperation in achieving business activities. In conclusion, in this session, we framed the structure of agribusiness and examined the role of various sectors on agribusiness. We also outlined the key trends from the Q2 2012 report of India Agribusiness. Finally, we discussed the nature of a successful agribusiness. Agribusiness has a vertical structure consisting of input suppliers, farmers, processors, transport operators, financiers, wholesalers, retailers and consumers. These components participate in the movement of the commodity from the producer down to the final consumer. We examined how under liberalization and globalization, agribusiness has opened new vistas for growth and development of the rural economy in general and of the agrarian economy in particular. The challenges of the rural economy can be balanced provided there is better management in the economy. We suggest that the right type of managerial skills and entrepreneurial expertise peppered with timely measures by the government would help fulfill the growing needs of agribusiness. In addition, understanding role of agribusiness will also enable us to analyze the attributes and features of agribusiness and also their contribution to agriculture. At the end of this session, we got to know that by tracing the nature of successful agribusiness, we can learn and apply various techniques for a fruitful business.